What if you woke up tomorrow and everything changed? Not the world around you, but you. What if the fear, doubt, hesitation, and second guessing were gone, and in their place stood clarity, confidence, and unstoppable energy? Most people drift through life waiting for some external force to kickstart their transformation. They wait for the perfect moment, the right circumstances, or a sign that it's finally time. But here's the truth. There is no perfect time. There's just now and what you choose to do with it. The difference between those who thrive and those who just survive isn't luck or talent. It's mindset, it's belief, it's a decision to stop living as a watered down version of yourself, a decision to reject the habits, stories, and identities that no longer serve you. Deep down, we all feel the pull to become more alive, more engaged, more fulfilled, but that voice often gets buried under layers of excuses, distractions, and fears we've collected over the years. What if today was the moment you stopped apologizing for dreaming big? What if you gave yourself permission to believe that your best self isn't a fantasy, but a version of you that already exists, just waiting for you to step up and claim it? This isn't about being perfect. It's about being real, about confronting the truth of who you've been and boldly stepping into who you're meant to become. You don't need anyone else's permission. You don't need another year to pass or another failure to wake you up. Everything you need is already inside you. The shift starts when you decide that enough is enough, that you're done waiting, that today you become the person you were always meant to be. Every person at some point feels a stirring inside, a quiet voice that whispers, there's more to you than this. It might happen in a moment of stillness or when you're overwhelmed, tired of pretending that everything is fine while knowing something is missing. We're not talking about dissatisfaction with material things, but a deeper, more persistent awareness that you are not fully showing up in your life. You may be achieving goals, meeting expectations, keeping up appearances, but deep down, you know there's another level you haven't touched yet. Not in terms of what you do, but in who you are. The idea of becoming your best self is not a cliche, it's a calling. It's the realization that your current habits, mindset, and environment may have shaped the person you've become, but they don't have to define who you remain. The path to your best self starts with one essential truth. Transformation is available to anyone who chooses it, no matter your background, your age, your past mistakes, or how long you've been stuck in the same loop. Growth is always possible, but it begins with brutal honesty and an unshakable decision to rise above the noise, both around you and within you. There's something powerful that happens when you finally look at your life and say, this is no longer enough for me, not in a selfish way, but from a place of deep responsibility. You start to recognize that settling, whether in your health, your work, your relationships, or your purpose, is a form of self-betrayal. And you become aware that every day you spend tolerating less than what you're capable of is a day you've allowed potential to go unused. That awareness can be uncomfortable, even painful, but it's also the beginning of change. When people talk about becoming their best self, they often imagine it as a final destination, some perfected version of life where everything aligns. But the truth is, becoming your best self is a process, an ongoing evolution. It's not about never feeling fear or doubt again. It's about no longer being ruled by them. It's about doing the hard things when no one's watching, showing up even when motivation fades, and aligning your actions with the life you truly want. It's not quick, it's not easy, but it's possible. And it starts right now with a willingness to do something different. For many people, life feels like a loop they can't quite escape. They wake up, go through their routines, fulfill obligations, and fall back into bed, only to repeat it all again tomorrow. There's a sense of motion, but not real progress. Days blur into weeks, and weeks into years, with an undercurrent of dissatisfaction running beneath the surface. It's not that things are catastrophic or unbearable. It's that they're comfortable, and that comfort becomes a trap, a quiet killer of ambition, purpose, and growth. The real challenge isn't that people don't know what to do. In most cases, they do. Deep down, they're aware of the habits they should change, the goals they want to pursue, the relationships that need boundaries, and the dreams they've put on hold. But knowing isn't the same as doing. The true barrier is inertia, the heaviness of staying the same. It's easier to stick to what's familiar, even when it's unfulfilling, than to step into the unknown where change lives. Fear plays a massive role in keeping people stuck. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of success even. The mind begins to generate endless stories. What if I try and fall short? What if I'm not good enough? What will others think? These questions paralyze action before it even begins. Instead of confronting those fears, many choose distraction, scrolling, numbing, staying busy, anything to avoid facing the quiet discomfort of unrealized potential. Another part of the problem is identity. People start to believe the roles they've played are permanent. I'm just not that type of person, they say. I've always been this way. That belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Without even realizing it, they begin to shrink their dreams to match the identity they've settled into, instead of expanding their identity to meet the life they truly want. The world often rewards conformity more than authenticity. We're conditioned to fit in, follow the rules, meet expectations. But when your life is built on others' definitions of success, it's no wonder that even achievement can feel empty. There's a quiet agony in knowing you're capable of more but doing less, not because you can't, but because you've convinced yourself that playing small is safe. The real challenge isn't external, it's internal. It's not the circumstances, the economy, or even your past that hold you back. It's the beliefs you carry, the standards you accept, and the choices you avoid. Breaking free from that means facing yourself fully, and that's where the journey truly begins. The process of becoming your best self begins with a simple but powerful shift, taking responsibility. Not for the things that happen to you, but for how you respond to them and what you choose moving forward. This isn't about blame, it's about ownership. Until you fully own your choices, your patterns, and your mindset, you remain powerless to change them. Responsibility is the first act of power. It turns you from a passive participant in life to an active creator of it. One of the most immediate and effective tools for transformation is changing your state. Your physical body is deeply connected to your emotional and mental state. When you move differently, breathe differently, stand differently, you feel differently. And when you feel differently, you think differently. Too often, people try to solve mental or emotional challenges while sitting still, slouched over, or stuck in an environment that drains them. But something as simple as changing your posture, walking with intention, or taking a cold shower can shift your energy and open up space for clarity and action. Another key factor in development is the power of decisions, not vague hopes or half-hearted wishes, real decisions. A true decision cuts off all other options. It says, this is who I am now, and this is what I no longer accept. When you raise your standards and align your actions with those standards, your environment, relationships, and outcomes start to shift. And this happens not because circumstances magically improve, but because you do. The process also demands a clear vision of your future. When you know what you're moving toward, you're far less likely to be distracted by what doesn't matter. Vision provides direction. It pulls you forward when motivation fades. It gives meaning to struggle and discipline. And when your vision is emotionally compelling, when it connects to your heart, not just your head, it becomes something you feel, not just something you think about. Consistency is what turns potential into reality. The small daily disciplines, the things you do when no one's watching, build character and momentum. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to start with one new action, one better decision, one uncomfortable step toward the person you want to be. Over time, those choices compound, and the gap between who you are and who you could be begins to close. That's the real transformation. That's the work. There comes a moment in every journey of transformation when the internal struggle reaches its peak. It's the moment when the old version of you clashes violently with the new. It doesn't come with fireworks or fanfare. Sometimes it looks like you alone in a room staring down a decision you've avoided for years. It might be walking away from something that no longer serves you. It might be saying no for the first time, or finally saying yes to something you've always been afraid of. It's raw, uncomfortable, and deeply personal. In that moment, everything feels uncertain. Your mind will offer every excuse to retreat. You're not ready. It's too risky. What if it doesn't work? This is where most people turn back. They step away from the edge and return to what's familiar, even if it's painful. But if you can breathe through the discomfort and hold your ground, you will feel something powerful shift, because that edge, that resistance, that's where transformation begins. Sometimes the breakthrough isn't loud, it's quiet. It's a realization so clear, so undeniable, that it cuts through the noise in your head and strikes the core of who you are. You suddenly understand that no one is coming to save you, that your life is yours to shape, and that staying small is costing you more than failing ever could. It's the moment you stop negotiating with your limitations and start demanding more from yourself, not out of pressure, but out of truth. And in that moment, something remarkable happens. You feel the fear and you move anyway. You take the action, you make the call, you walk into the room, you say the words. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. That single act, however small, becomes the spark, the pivot point, the line in the sand between who you were and who you're becoming. This is the moment that redefines your story. It's not marked by external success, but by an internal decision to never again settle for less than what you're capable of. Everything that comes after is built on this turning point. It's where excuses die and growth begins. And it's in this space, often uncomfortable and unfamiliar, that you finally meet the person you were always meant to be. Becoming your best self is not about chasing perfection or trying to live up to someone else's definition of success. It's about getting honest with yourself, uncovering the truth of who you are, and choosing again and again to live in alignment with that truth. It's not a one-time decision. It's a series of choices made daily, sometimes hourly, where you lean into growth instead of comfort, clarity instead of confusion, and purpose instead of passivity. The process isn't linear. You will have moments of doubt, setbacks, and times when you wonder if you're making any progress at all. But every challenge is part of the shaping. Every delay, every frustration, and every difficult decision is forging a stronger version of you. It's not always easy to see it while you're in it, but trust that the work you're doing, the inner work, is building a foundation that nothing external can shake. When you begin to live from that place of ownership, everything starts to shift. Your relationships deepen because they're built on authenticity. Your work becomes more meaningful because it's driven by intention rather than obligation. Your confidence grows, not because everything is going right, but because you know you can handle it when things go wrong. That's real strength. That's what it means to live fully. What's most empowering is realizing that nothing outside of you has to change before you start. The change begins internally with a shift in mindset, a new decision, a simple action. Every step you take, no matter how small, reinforces the identity of someone who shows up for themselves, who honors their potential, and who refuses to live on autopilot. There is no final destination where everything clicks and you're suddenly complete. The best version of you is always evolving, always growing. The goal isn't to arrive, it's to keep rising, to keep choosing alignment, to keep becoming. That's the real journey, and it belongs to you. In the end, it's not about doing more, it's about becoming more. More present, more courageous, more alive. The life you're dreaming of isn't somewhere far away. It's built in the choices you make today. And the person you're capable of becoming is already within you, waiting for you to take that next step. Now is the time to stop waiting. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect version of yourself to show up before you begin. The truth is, that version of you, the one who is confident, grounded, fulfilled, is not a future fantasy. That person begins to take shape the moment you decide to act. Not someday, not when it's convenient, now. Take a breath and ask yourself a few powerful questions. What am I no longer willing to tolerate in my life? Where have I been playing small out of fear or habit? What would my life look like if I showed up fully for myself? Not halfway, not part-time, but completely. The answers might not be comfortable, but they will be honest. And honesty is the birthplace of transformation. You don't need to overhaul your life in one dramatic move. You just need to take the next step, the one you've been avoiding. Maybe it's having a conversation you've been putting off. Maybe it's setting a boundary, committing to a new habit, or simply waking up tomorrow with a renewed sense of purpose. One step creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. Choose one thing today that aligns with the person you want to become. Commit to it, write it down, speak it out loud, tell someone who will hold you to it. Don't let it live in your head as another good intention that fades with time. Anchor it in action. This is your life, your energy, your potential. No one else can walk this path for you. But the moment you take ownership, real, full, unapologetic ownership, you begin to change everything. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be willing to try, willing to fail, willing to rise again, stronger, more focused, more determined. The world doesn't need another version of someone else. It needs the real you, fully engaged, fully awake, fully alive. Don't wait for the right conditions to give yourself permission. Be the permission. The power is already in your hands. So take the step, make the move, become the person you were always meant to be, starting now.